Hello, guys. Hello, hello. And hopefully you enjoyed our bloopers, which could have been so much more. Literally could have had a video just as long full of bloopers.
I lose all my concentration as soon as I see that.
But welcome, guys. And this is not the stream scene, but we don't have any specific generic overlays at the moment. It's funny because we're actually working on getting that done, but before we decide to do this, but we don't have anything yet. So this is a fake episode of the stream scene. I'm sorry if you were bamboozled.
Got him.
Got him. But this is actually a Q&A, an open Q&A, to talk a little bit about the video that you just saw, our Patreon, which we just launched alongside the announcement that Hunter and HB Fox are going to be joining Streamersquare in a more official capacity. So Hunter is no longer just my co-host on the stream scene. He is my co-owner of Streamersquare. So really, really big stuff. And the Patreon is really important to us because it is what is going to allow us, not solely, but it is a big way for us to help fund what we currently do and what we want to do. I think the first thing that we're going to do here is talk to you guys a little bit about what we're offering, and then we'll get to questions. Like, let's just do like a quick overview first before the questions pour in. Hopefully this works. Oh, yeah, but it's not in the right spot. But it's there.
Doing it live, man.
Yes, we never use this overlay, and I literally threw this together like after the show that I just did ended, so it's not like I've had time to put this together at all. So this is our Patreon. I guess, Hunter, if you want to do a little overview of what we got.
I mean, start to finish, so covering some of the stuff that you already tackled and the things that we talked about in that video itself, that we take a ton of free stuff, which has primarily been Loco doing this for the last 3.5 years.
4.5.
4.5 years. Where I think realistically the only real revenue was things like any advertising stuff that would sort of show up, just standard issue web stuff, which is really tiny. And the magnitude, if you go onto streamersquare.com, you can see the absolutely epic scope of information. The scale is huge that has been put out and will continue to be put out for $0. Same thing with all the shows that we do here. We don't even have, what you would normally expect for standard monetization options on a stream. Patreon felt like and obviously feels like a fantastic middle ground that allows us to do more of what we already want to do with Streamersquare, that continues to allow us to expand out the free stuff and do even more specialized stuff, because our time is that's like the most valuable resource that we have, is time. And we have so little of it as streamers, because you're trying to manage like everything on your own streams yourself. You're working all these different projects, and we are together, but distinct from our own separate brands, trying to work on Streamersquare itself now, fortunately, with the exceptional help of HB Fox. And these are things that are being produced for free consumption, but they cost a lot. Ultimately, they cost a lot to actually get out there and maintain, especially when you're talking about expanding out those resources. So with Patreon, we've got a lot of stuff going from, I think it's from 1 to 99, and maybe 1 to 90. I think it's 1 to 99. Yeah. So there's everything from that, like I said in the video, the low commitment tier, the toss us $1 because you also want to see the success of Streamersquare. You want to see the overall expansion of success for broadcasters, all the assistance that we're able to provide, almost 99% of it being entirely free, down to where you start everything from $5 on to 99, where you start getting stuff for your pledges, that those commitments. And as you would normally expect from something like Patreon, the more you are investing into it, the more stuff you're going to be able to get out of it. And this, in some part, corresponds to the amount of time that we are capable of committing to effectively this fundraising effort, which corresponds to the amount of time that we're capable of committing to the individuals who are putting that money on the line to allow Streamersquare to do the free stuff. So it goes from the $1 tier, like I said, $5. You get access to Patreon Discord. We've got text Q&As that I'm really, really, really excited to dive into. And
so do we want to talk a little bit more about each of the things that we're offering, like to
Sure.
kind of detail it?
Sure.
So the text Q&As, they're going to be at least 2 text Q&As each month, one run by me, one run by Hunter, where it'll be something where we plan a little bit ahead of time, like, hey, tonight at this time, the next 30 minutes I will dedicate to you guys. Any questions, throw them in. Let's have a little talk. So that's going to happen live in the Discord channel through text. Just like a super laid back thing, just to kind of address any questions you guys have that we can just just spend some time and answer by typing.
And that's a two-parter too, because on the one side you get to participate in that and have your own questions answered, though it's going to be in a text format, so it might not be the sort of fluidity that we have in conversational. It'll have a sort of a different format to that. But also, I believe we're going to be what we want to do is get those text Q&As, see if we can format that in a way that becomes accessible, so that even if you can't participate in it, you would still be able to see what questions were asked and what was answered.
Right. So those text Q&As we will archive and put on the Patreon feed. So even the $1 tier, you may not be able to participate, but you will be able to access what was discussed. So
Right.
everyone will be able to see that stuff.
I'm already giggling because we've seen the cuts that we have from behind the stream scene. So we do a show every Monday, right? That's the stream scene that we did one yesterday. That was tackling the broad issue of stream coaching, as it had come up as a sort of a zeitgeist front and center issue from last week over Twitter, and we wanted to tackle it as a broader subject. We have time that we spend with guests.
Oh God.
What happened?
Sorry. I tried to change something in OBS. Okay, fine. Keep going. We're good.
This is how we do it. Bam, bam.
I tried to change a different scene. I didn't realize it was going to change the scene itself. Because I actually have a video, the teaser, actually. I put it on the
you do?
So I do.
This would be exactly it. We have time before and after the actual stream scene where we're sometimes it's like actually continuing the conversation of what we talked about on the stream scene, but other times it's just pure raw goof.
Yeah. So these behind the stream scene videos are going to be a combination of educational stuff. Like literally at the end of our show yesterday, we just kept talking about coaching for another 10 minutes. And it's just stuff that didn't make the show.
Yeah.
So that's going to be accessible to the tier 2 and up. And we also are going to be putting together little teasers every month with just like some snippets from each episode that we will throw out to just like give you guys, for those who aren't part of the Patreon but are curious about it, a little taste of what that's like. And I think it's interesting because, like Hunter was saying, it's like what goes on before and after, like the prep, the like it's like a little bit of a different vibe. Let me just show you guys this teaser real quick.
Planned ideas that we've been asking all of our guests over the last several episodes is, what would you think if we recorded behind the scenes stuff? And I am now recording for the next episode of Behind the Streamersquare scenes.
On the next episode, we find out if Hunter's pregnant.
This is gonna be the first time that we've done it. And
I'll be extra funny.
You guys gotta be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now the pressure's on.
It's funny seeing other green screens on the screen and like realizing that yours is way more wrinkled than everybody else's.
Yeah, I have the most expensive battery recharge station in my house that's all I use it for, is just to recharge my batteries for these super long streams and stuff.
Are you talking about your bed?
Effectively, yes.
Yeah.
I just plug myself in, just.
I picture your mattress with like a
Today-
cutout of your body.
Yeah, today I learned that
like an
Hunter
android.
is also a robot, and that's why he does a show with Loco. Okay, I get it. I understand. I like
We're gonna
that.
call
yeah.
it behind the stream scenes because this is the stream scene show, right? Okay, it's very clever. I'm gonna pat myself on the back on this one.
Bye, guys.
Alright.
Bye, guys.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye. So
awesome.
that's a little taste of the shenanigans that happen with Hunter trying to formulate words before the show when he's not awake. He's never awake in the beginning, and sentences are very difficult.
And it's things that you don't get to see on the show itself. Those are things that you can access for like the $5 tier, and that stuff will just be there. It's gonna be put up regularly.
Right.
I believe that's set up for a minimum of 2 because there are some times where we have to skip a show where we go out of town for a convention or there's something really important happening that takes away from it.
Right. So you can count on that every week. We did the stream scene, which is pretty much every week, except the occasional here and there. So that's accessible for the $5 tier. The same as the Twitch sub. We are not partnered here on Twitch. And so if you've ever thought about subbing to us, well, you can sub to us here and get more things. So that's pretty cool.
And get even more than what you would get for subbing on Twitch.
Right. So then our next tier is the tier 3, which is right now just it's gonna be these Q&A videos where you guys can actually submit a question, and Hunter and I are gonna take those questions, divvy them up between ourselves, and actually like record a video answering your question directly. Your question will appear on the screen, and so will your username. And these Q&As, what we'll do is we'll be taking a couple of questions from each Q&A video and putting them on YouTube as well as like a little like highlight, like same thing with like the teaser.
Yeah.
So
and an important thing to keep in mind throughout while we're going through these point by point too is you get everything from the earlier tiers. So if you're going to a higher tier, if you're in tier 2, which is the $5 one, and you move up to 3, you also still get everything that was in 2. If you just start right out at tier 4, you also get everything that's in tier 3, 2, 1, and so on.
And I think that's really important for the last tier, tier 5, which is the one-on-one coaching, which we'll get to. But you get the one-on-one coaching, and you also get the group coaching, and you get all the other stuff. So it's actually a lot. It's
massive value.
Only being like $49 more for a private coaching session is lower than what we should be charging.
Yeah, it's honestly a bit of a steal.
So the tier 4 is the 1-hour group coaching session. That's going to be max 5 to 6 people with either Loco, that's me, I just said my own name, with either me. Who's that Loco person? Oh, it's me.
He's
that's
very
my
trustworthy.
Name right
I definitely respond well to the feedback that she provides.
So me or Hunter. So that'll be so with that. That's gonna be a 1-hour session. You guys come with your questions. It's kind of like how the text Q&A would be, but a lot more efficient because we're all talking and
right.
And
you have a very different flow. So like, I can often be. I have 2 sort of modes. One's sort of whimsical, and I'll just be like, whatever, memeing and this is how I type. I pulled this from that cat meme where the cat's just like type on the keyboard. Where I'll just have that sort of like super whimsical form of communication. But with things like this, it'll be a lot more. There'll be a lot more rigidity. I'll be trying to be a bit more formal in the replies typing. But in conversation, I can get the same information out in a short amount of time, and it has its own unique flow where there are prefaces and little addendums to the things that I'm saying that I think can help to clarify a lot of that. I feel like that makes a big, big difference. I think each one of them has a place and value in providing that feedback.
For sure. And with the group coaching, I think it's like it's helpful to get an idea of what other people are going through and realizing like, oh, like I'm not the only one that's struggling with this exact same problem. And maybe
Yeah.
honestly, it's gonna like probably be where a lot of you guys are talking with each other and realizing like you guys might have a different perspective or different solution than something I would suggest too. So
And that's
I think,
ultimately the hope, I think, because
yeah,
for many, many, many reasons. One, a lot of us tend to be really shy when we have problems. We don't want to point out to other people how we're flawed, right? You don't want to expose yourself immediately. So you tend to be restrictive on that. When you see somebody who does speak up on the same problem, then you're like, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one with this. And then you'll see everybody else go like, oh yeah, I have that problem too. And you're like, holy crap, it's like everybody has that same issue. And then you can also feel more comfortable then speaking up about your particular issues that you may be running into because somebody else already voiced that, and or you receive the benefit of the answer because somebody else voiced that. And the community, so that's one. Two, the community of broadcasters who all help each other. This is what should be going on at every sort of stage of broadcasting, is having camaraderie, people who are talking about their successes and their failures, everybody learning from and teaching each other. And that's one of the things that we want to do. Loco's been doing a great job with that with the Discord up until this point, and now hopefully that it continues to expand out, and that we get to bring more people in and open up even more conversations amongst themselves, amongst each other, to magnify that stuff. Like any individual thing that we say could have some value, but when other people start talking about that and how that one piece of advice may not work for them because of this issue, somebody else is like, oh yeah, that I can modify that to my own needs and desires and stuff. Like that makes a magnitudinal difference, such that it's not just one way directional information. Talking, doing the feedback amongst yourselves, alongside us and with us too. I think that's primo.
sure. So another thing we're offering is at this tier is a monthly stream snapshot, which we are actually technically not working with Arsenal on this, but maybe at some point we will be. But we're doing a stream snapshot where it's gonna be basically it's gonna be like a sheet that has really what we and some of our people that we've been working with. Inexpensive Gamer, he was here earlier. He's going to be helping us. He's really good with analytics. So he has collected a couple of really important statistics and analytics to look at regarding your stream. We're going to piece that together in a way that's super visual, super easy to follow, and we're going to provide a brief little synopsis alongside with it to be like, okay, so like a little interpretation of what this means. So you're not just looking at all these graphs and you're like, I don't. What?
You can learn a bit about how to. I mean, you can probably ultimately learn quite a bit about how to look at and analyze and assess your own analytics from static resources that are out there. Some resources on Streamersquare, and I'm sure that there are videos and stuff, blog posts from any number of people over the past couple of years about why this particular statistic matters, or what algorithm to use to interpret how long people are actually staying around and watching your stream and why that makes a difference. This will take that one step further by looking at your specific analytics, your specific metrics, with a brief analysis of what that can mean for you in particular. That's not something that you're going to be able to get from a static set of information about how to just look at them in general. That's why this is a really unique, super professional. I did mute my phone. That's why this is a super unique opportunity, I think. And to my knowledge, nobody else is actually doing this.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this also is it's bundled with the coaching. So this or the higher tier, you can take your snapshot and be like, and ask a question regarding it. We won't be able to in the group coaching be able to sit down and analyze it personally, but if you go to the personal coaching session, like that's something that we can just talk about your analytics and work on that.
Yep.
If that's something you want to focus on.
One of the reasons why it's valuable to have the nested tiers, where when you get to the higher tiers, you still get everything below.
Yeah. And on top of that, for the tier 4, you also get to submit up to 2 questions for our Q&A videos. So
Yeah.
If you want to get your name on screen, you want to ask some questions that you want a personal answer for, you get 2 of those.
Yeah.
So then the last tier we have is tier 5 adds the 30-minute one-on-one coaching session with your choice, either me, Loco, or Hunter. So you will be able to choose. We'll work with you to find a time. And one thing I want to talk about is our plan for both the coaching sessions, because we haven't explained this in depth yet. Hunter, you want to talk a little bit more about the pre and the during and post kind of perspective of what we're doing with the coaching? What kind of things we're going to be doing?
Yeah. So there are some vague kind of conceptual, abstract ideas to talk about, almost the nature of it, and then there's some specifics to discuss in there as well. So coaching is one of the things that, just hearing the word, it's sort of nebulous. For a variety of reasons, I've been thinking about this for years in different formats, and many of you know that my ex was it continues to be a top tier college level teacher, has a number of awards specifically for that, and dynamic teaching perspectives. One of the things that she does that I have capitalized on here is taking let me see if I can. I'm pretty sure that I have it. Well, it's taking something that's called integrated course design. That sounds like a really vague term, but that is a specific approach that is becoming more mainstream at the highest level of education to help specifically with qualitative assessment. That is a key term for a principle that we are going to be taking very seriously when it comes to coaching. One that I think, if a coach isn't doing this, then you might not be getting the most out of a coaching session. Anybody can sort of teach you how to self-assess, how to define goals, how to look at your own stuff, but actually showcasing where goals can be arbitrary, which is something you don't want. Goals can be poorly defined, which means that your difficulty in hitting them will be very easy to not hit them. It'll be very easy to not hit them. And that can make you feel horrible and like you're doing something wrong. You can be doing great stuff and just have poorly defined goals. And then you get a bad sense of self-esteem, a bad sense of success, even while you might be doing some things very well. And an example of an arbitrary goal is, say, and these are some of the things that can't necessarily be taught because they're kind of personal. $700. I have a goal of making $700 a month. This is an unfortunately arbitrary goal because somebody could come in and drop $700 in one sitting. And you're like, oh, this is great. I was doing this, this, and this that month when I hit my goal. I'm going to keep doing this, this, and this in order to keep hitting that goal. And you can't control whether or not somebody comes in and does that. You have zero control over that, which makes it ultimately an arbitrary goal because you have no control over whether or not it happens. We want to help personalize and define and assess and examine the things that are unique to you, your weaknesses, your strengths. What do you actually want to be as a streamer? What do you want your stream to look like? How can you help yourself get to those places, right? It's the kind of thing that ideally we can help you with it for as long as you want. And there should inevitably come a point where it's actually an alarm that I set for this show because for a particular reason. That there should come a point where you feel liberated from the coaching to the point that you can go off and take everything that you've learned and keep applying it and keep applying it and keep applying it in order to keep growing without having to without needing that one-on-one time. where you'll be able to continue conversing with your peers, including us, to just sort of make sure that you're keeping up with some of these things.
And I think what you're mentioning about discussing with your peers, I think that's why the Patreon section of the Discord is going to be really cool, because
absolutely,
you're being put with a group of people that are in the same mindset as you, where you're really serious about your stream and you're ready to learn and ready to take things like to go through a similar process as everyone else. So I think that's gonna be really powerful. To be amongst those people where you can openly chat at any time, not just during the Q&As, but you can chat with each other to, you know, go through this journey together. Like, and I think that's one thing we've always pushed is like, you're not alone in doing this. And like, hopefully what we do both with the Patreon, but also the free stuff that we do helps you realize that.
And another very important point is this is not a point of perfection on we haven't perfected streaming. Nobody out there can give you sort of a God's eye view and tell you exactly what to do precisely at what times in order to reach success. This is not information that will be handed over and now you have it and now you're successful.
It's a process.
It's a process, and it's one that we are going through ourselves. We're trying to strengthen what we do at Streamersquare. We're continuing to try and strengthen what we do in our individual brands. We're continuing to learn lessons ourselves and make mistakes and find new successes and so on. And we want to use the same approaches for our stuff. We want to have not even necessarily a lead by example, but grow by example kind of a thing. We're going to be doing the exact same things ourselves that we are going to be doing with you guys. And I think that point about not handing over perfect information is really important. Ultimately, you are going to be doing significantly more work than we will in the coaching. If you're not, you won't get nearly as much out of it. If what you're expecting to do is get secret information, you can get that by watching a video. You can get that by reading Streamersquare articles. You can get the information itself. What's that?
We don't hold any secrets back.
We're putting exactly. There. We haven't been like carving stuff out to hold away just for somebody who pays. That's not how it works. All the core information is out there. If you want that personal assessment and assistance in like monitoring your progress as you go along, that's the kind of thing, and which means that you have to be doing a lot of that work of actually defining your goals, actually seeking out what you need and tracking how you're performing in that stuff. And then we get to look at that with you and collectively assess how you're doing, look for objective, verifiable ways that you can improve that, or whether or not that's just a box that you've checked, like, yeah, dude, you nailed it. You succeeded right there. That's the one.
Yeah, so with the coaching, well, actually,
hi, Ash to Christ.
I think with everything on Patreon, we are actually going to be putting together a pre-coaching and a post-coaching assessment guided document, which we're still working on putting together, because Hunter is actually working with someone who does education, so that we can make something that has that we get a little. We're still learning too, so we're still trying to figure this out.
And it's going to be a constantly refined process, I should say. Like, so if you were to sign up today, you're not going to be getting the exact same thing that you would see a year from now, or 2 years from now, 10 years from now, 30 years from now. We are always going to be trying to improve it, refine it, grind out some rough edges, see some, some blind spot that maybe we couldn't have seen before. We're going to be growing too alongside.
Right.
The longer you want to stick with us and keep coming back to Streamersquare and or Patreon, the more you will see in that development.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I guess we want to take questions, or do we want to go over our goals?
Just some touching on some goals, I think sounds good.
Cool. So right now we only have 3 goals listed, but these are by far not even. I
think we have like 9 total.
We have a lot of goals.
We
also have a lot of goals that we're just not going to ever share, but they're just ideas that we have. But so we only have 3 goals for now, but we have a lot of goals. Right now, the first thing that we're going to do is It's gonna be something kind of like this, but through Discord with our patrons, is a patron town hall, which we'll do every single month to touch on what we're doing with Streamersquare, what we're working on, talk to you guys about the Patreon, because we want to make this something that has a lot of value, that works for both parties, right? Something that works for us and something that gives you guys good value too. So we'll do that every single month. We talk to you guys. What do you guys like about the Patreon? What do you guys want to see? What's not useful? What could be useful?
Because there's no point if you're not getting stuff out of it. There's no point in doing it. If you have more things you want to see, we need to be able to listen to that. So setting this as like a really young and early goal, it seemed like a perfect setup.
Yeah, this is like the Patreon's not set in stone. We will be adding things and taking things out, and I don't expect anything too drastic because we've really thought thoroughly about this. We're not gonna get rid of like the one-on-one coaching because we didn't realize how time-consuming it was or something. We've really thought this through. We have some soft caps right now for those coaching tiers, so those are limited spaces, and we will close that off when we've hit those. So the Patreon Town Hall will really help us work with you guys. We want your guys' feedback. You can tell us at any time what you like and don't like, but these will really
absolutely
help to get this in sync.
Yeah, because those will be specific dedicated time things, which is part of why it's an actual monetary goal. We're always going to be listening to feedback. That's never going to be any different. But us taking time away from, again, doing other stuff with Streamersquare, our own brand stuff, in order to dedicate toward the town hall stuff, that's why it's set at the mark that it is.
Yeah, and it's our first goal because it's instantly more value for the people that helped make that goal happen. You guys get more stuff, so that'll be tier 2 and up for those town halls, and everybody,
which is the $5 and above tiers,
right? And everybody will get access. Every patron will get access to the recording afterwards, anyways. So, yeah, that's our first goal. Then we have the streaming news, which is something that I started to do. You can check the videos on YouTube. They're really nice. They're very expensive. I couldn't keep doing them because they cost too much money. So this will help us bring that back. But we're going to not do it every single week. We decided to start with doing it every other week because we didn't feel like for the cost of putting out this something like this every single week and the amount of content it would provide, we didn't really feel like it was pertinent to have that out every single week.
It's surprisingly intensive production.
Yeah, but it's going to be really helpful. Like 2 weeks of like, you watch like a 2-minute video and you know exactly what's happening in the streaming industry. You know about the latest tools, anything that's changed, any updates, any news from Twitch. You just watch like a 2-minute video on your way to work or something.
Twice a month. Really
that's going to
easy.
be our next goal. And then our third goal is another video series, how-to videos. So these are going to be short and sweet, little specific how-to videos as we give it an example. Like, how does the Twitch bounty board work? Or, how do I set up my channel or mixer or something like that? These are going to be super specific things that, again, these town halls and stuff, like gathering information about what you guys want to see, that's going to help us figure out what to make. So that's going to be every other week as well. So if we hit all 3 of these goals, we're putting out a new video every single week. And we will, as we hit these goals, we'll be adding brand new goals for you guys to check out.
Yeah. And an important thing to keep in mind too is the time and production costs that go into things like that. Those are being those bills are being footed by Streamersquare, not us independently. That's why it's tied into the Patreon goals, because this is where Streamersquare revenue is going to be generated. So as a business, that's right. That money in becomes money out for content and everything that we get to produce. A lot of which, to reiterate this point over and over again, a lot of which is going to be tied into all of our free content that we continue to expand for $0 for people who can't afford, don't want to, or haven't even discovered Streamersquare yet. People who can see that to help literally everybody without exception.
So we do have a ton of other stuff that we want to do with Streamersquare. in the future, and some of this stuff will happen alongside hitting these goals, like having news and new content, written content coming out regularly on the website. That forever has been me talking to my writers where, hey, like this just came out, can someone cover this, can someone do a guide on this, personally editing every single article, making the thumbnail, scheduling for upload, doing the social media. That is now with HB, bless his soul, joining us. We're going to be able to be on top of that kind of stuff that we already do even better because of us coming together as a family here. So there's a lot of other stuff, a lot of other things. So I think we'll take some questions. Anything about anything that we've talked about.
We do have a couple that are tied in already that I've copied into our Discord. But yeah, drop any questions that you have, and to I almost said iterate this point again. There's a word for that. Reiterate. I just overuse it. I'll get flowery with it. To iterate this point again, this can include concerns that you have. If you're not sure how something works and you're like, I don't get it. Like, what's the point of this? Or how would this even function? Or where would I find the value? That kind of stuff is totally okay too. Any of that stuff, anything that you have, and you're also welcome to express your elation for things too. I always like seeing a little bit of hype. All of that is most welcome. So Epic Quinn asked a while back, will the tiers change in the future? And Loco touched on this one. She said that none of this is set in stone. A lot of this is going to change by feedback and what we see by our own self-assessment, which I was saying is a thing that we're doing alongside you guys. Our coaching stuff, all the principles that we want to apply in coaching to help you, we're also applying for ourselves. We want to define our own goals and track the qualitative values for that, and making sure that we fit exactly the needs of people who matter to our vision, to what we are attempting to do. That's priority number one. So yeah, these are absolutely subject to change based on feedback and our own assessment. And Epiquin also very aptly asks, for $50, you'll help me be a professional streamer. That's not exactly how it works.
We will help, keyword help, you be a better streamer. We cannot guarantee you will become a big streamer.
Yeah. There are no guarantees for any of those things. A lot of that has to be a matter of self-assessment. Some people just don't want the same thing that other person wants, right? You set two streamers side by side, and of course on the surface you can ask them, what do you want? And they're like, oh, I want growth. I want to, have a job and a career with this. Those are far too vague. We want to help you define really clear goals that you specifically can hit qualitatively alongside the quantitative ones like metrics and how all those numbers work. And so that stuff will helping you define your own sense of success, which is for many of us ambiguous until it's not. We have these nebulous ideas of what it means to be successful. Really getting clarity on that goes so freaking far, so far. So that we will help you figure out what it takes to even know what success looks like for you.
Yep.
Is the group coaching from Skomar going to be recorded, and will it be via a Zoom meeting or a Discord channel that is locked to only the invitees? The group coaching. Oh, you're talking about the yeah. So it's the limited sessions of a small group of people with one of us.
Yeah. So that is going to be held on Zoom.
Yeah.
You don't need your camera. You don't even need your microphone if you don't want to. But it will be held on Zoom. Will it be recorded? These are, in my opinion, private coaching sessions.
Yeah. I'd like to make it available to the people who participate in it, but there are complications with that. So I'm not entirely sure how to answer that right now. I would love to make it available to the participants of just that immediate session.
I mean,
write that down. I want to look into that.
I guess they themselves could record on their own, right?
Yes. As long as it weren't published. Yeah, that obviously
right.
wouldn't be a problem for personal use.
Which would kind of be silly to publish because you're just paying for information that now you're giving.
Yeah, it would not only be silly to publish, but also technically illegal. If people didn't know that you were recording, or if you asked and they said no, that would just be private stuff. It's not, because people, I mean, when you think about it for a variety of reasons, a lot of people want that small scale coaching scenario in order to voice their concerns that they only want a couple of people to
They
hear.
want that privacy.
Yeah, they don't want to air their dirty laundry. You know, like, here are my deep, like I do this sometimes in private myself. Here are my deep-seated concerns and fears about some things going on with my channel, and I don't want that getting out. I think it's entirely fair to not publish those publicly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Zoom. It's free. Zoom.us.
Yeah, completely free.
It is free. I wanted to say something else about that, but I forgot, so we're gonna keep going. Vlad asks, will there be audio-only versions of the public Streamersquare VODs, videos, podcasts, etc.? Do you have a favorite audio-only platform? So we've never done this because A, it will cost money because it's someone has to do that, right? And B, I guess I just never. Are you guys interested in that? Like, access to just the audio? I mean, I guess it would be kind of appealing. How many of you guys would actually be interested in that? I know that I believe It Meet JP's roleplay Patreon offers audio only versions of his shows.
I'm gonna take these notes.
Yeah, please do. I was going to start taking those notes. Podcast setup is nice to have while doing other things. Edison drop frames at work all the time on Spotify. I travel for work. Okay. So it is something kind of interesting. So yeah, that's something we can talk about. And we'll have to figure out what it would cost and how we would make it work. We have a lot of things that, right? We already have a lot of past VODs, so I'm not sure how much work that'd be to get past stuff, but that'll be something that we instill going.
Yeah,
We'll have to
yeah.
talk about it. We'll have to talk about it for sure. That's a great idea. Gamer Lives asks, so as the company grows, will you be bringing more people in? Yes. So we want
100%.
to. So the Patreon's gonna be a big help with getting actual editors, so that HB Fox can not be an editor. He is overseeing all of the content that we do and a lot of other back-end administrative stuff that me and Hunter don't want to do. So HB is doing so much. We'd love to get editors. We'd love to get in more writers and video content creators. We want to get, we need for production to make more shows. We'd love to be able to set up to get people to produce those shows so that, if it's easier in a central place to kind of running that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely need more help to do more things. And so the Patreon's gonna be a big help with that.
And to be transparent about the business side of things, there's a lot of invisibility when it comes to this stuff, a lot of invisible and hidden costs. Like, oftentimes when we see something very well designed, you just accept it. You just consume that media and you're like, oh, this is great. But upon an analysis, you can see that there is a significant amount of production cost that goes into it, cost of time, paying people to work on those various things. So first and foremost, we ultimately have to balance out the existing costs of Streamersquare, right? Which includes us spending a lot of time doing it, which includes producing content for the website, things like that. And then start feeding back into taking revenue that's coming in and feeding back into then expanding it out. So these are all part and parcel with growing the business successfully. Yes, expansion is absolutely an ideal and part of the plan on many fronts, including personnel.
So Povo asked, with a coaching session, is there a follow-up chat? If I did things, is there a chat about the changes in the metric, good or bad?
Yes. That is part of what the coaching is intended to do. Now, because of the nature of, it's easy to keep coming back to this, because of the nature of our limited time and Patreon, the longer that you are sticking with those tiers that involve coaching, the easier it is for us collectively, us as coaches alongside you, to track and assess those aspects, those qualities, so the qualitative and quantitative metrics. So on the one side, it's helping you define them and see past your own blind spots and things like that, because you can't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. You can't know what you can't know, so on and so forth. I love them, adages. But, if you come in for 1 month and, we go through the process, we'll give you some homework. There's prep work that you effectively have to do to help us understand where you are, what you need, how we can even approach you. Right? Because one person may need like some hard, almost like drill sergeant kind of thing where they're like, it's like pushing hard. Another person may very well need sort of the soft and gentle, floaty assessment. And I think it's entirely fair to look at what each individual needs in terms of approach and the actual goals and place that they are. One person who just started streaming, another person who's 3 years in and hasn't got any traction for a while because they've plateaued. Wildly different approaches that we may have to that. We have to know that going in. Then we get the one-on-one time with you, or the 1-on-5 time with you, whichever it happens to be. And we get to talk about a lot of that stuff. Then you go off and do the work. If you come back for month 2, then we get to have an assessment of how that progress was. You're keeping track of this the whole time because we can't know this independently, and we're not going to spend 8 hours, outside of the coaching sessions researching your specific stream and how that's working. This is about tools, developing tools that you can take even when you're not with the Patreon anymore. You need to be able to do that stuff yourself. We're going to help you do that. That's part of the point of this. So you come back for month 2, and then maybe you stop, and then you come back on month 5. And then we can look at where those assessments were, like that. It won't be repeated sessions within that month. Literally, we don't have the time to do it. And if we did make the time to do it, our time is costly, and that may be prohibitive.
And one thing I do want to say is we're still working on how exactly we're going to do this, but we have an idea of these assessments, these are documents that guide you before and after the coaching sessions to get your head thinking in the right space, and to help retain this information and just get your mind going.
Right.
We are going to keep copies of this with on our end too. So even if you can't do a back-to-back month, but you come back 2-3 months later, we can pick right back up because we'll have that information. You'll have that information. And we're not just spending 30 minutes trying to catch up. We will have that prep work done.
Yeah, that's the idea. And I absolutely want to keep driving this point home. While there is such a thing as bad coaching, there is also such a thing as bad learning on the side of the person, who's receiving the coaching. Abstracting that out a little bit from my personal experience, I graduated in the bottom quarter of my high school class. I completely failed out of my first semester of college. By the time I actually graduated, I graduated with honors. The difference between how I approached learning from the one point to the other was night and day. I refused to do any work early on, and I wanted to just be handed the information and then I would know it. But it turns out that's not really how learning works, especially not when it comes to self-development. You have to do a lot of that work yourself, no matter how amazing the teacher, professor, or coach is. If you don't put effort in yourself, you're not going to get anything out of it. And the amount of effort and attention that you pay to some of those things, amount of questions that you ask too, sometimes can be critical, depending on you and your learning style and such. That makes a big difference. So if you come in, if anybody comes in for a session, does zero work in between each session, doesn't really pay attention to the guidance that we've tried to provide, and comes back, you're not going to get anything out of it. You have to be willing to put in work yourself for part of this coaching, but that also goes hand in hand with just self-betterment and success as a streamer. You can't sit. Everybody knows we've gotten those complaints about somebody going like, "Oh, all you do is sit behind the camera and just play video." No, we don't. We do so much as streamers, and a lot of that's on the back end. A lot of that's behind the scenes. That is hidden work. That's the same kind of work that you have to do as part of the coaching effort, as well as just to develop as a broadcaster independently, even if you never signed on to coaching at all.
Another thing with these higher tiers is, okay, so maybe you can't afford to do it every single month. And that's okay, because a lot of these things will take some time to apply too. But you can go down to tier 3 or tier 2, participate in the text Q&As or the monthly Q&A. And so you are still able to communicate with us through follow-up questions. Even if we're not sitting down and personally able to talk to you. So there's still,
and none of this restricts any of our free content. We'll always be doing the streams and even more over time, even more streams and producing more content on the website and stuff too. So it's not like the only way to get access to any information now is to go through Patreon. Not at all. This is an entirely different type of information than the type of stuff that we're already doing and that we want to do for $0. That will always be available, and even more of it will be available by virtue of what we're able to do through Patreon. Gonna keep coming back to that one.
Yeah. Let's see. Little Lotus asks, have you considered a viewer-only tier, maybe a Loot Crate style box with merch from your respective teams at an appropriate monetary level? And I would probably say no, because this is like pretty separate from our streams.
Yeah.
Like this intentionally that way. So, plus something like that would be a lot of work to put together.
Yeah, and its own independent monetary investment, right? Because it costs to put that stuff into for the production of all the materials in a way that doesn't actually connect with trying to help people and expand knowledge bases and stuff like that, right? So it's sort of a bit too divergent from the general mission of Streamersquare and the Streamersquare Patreon. It's not an outlandish idea by any means, but it just sort of doesn't fit on the same it's not in the same wavelength, I think.
And I would say like particularly the first two tiers are kind of a viewer only tier in a way where there's not really I mean, technically you can give any amount and choose not to get anything if you don't want. But those lower tiers is a very low commitment thing that is just like you're just a fan of us and you just want to help our dream.
That's true. Those are options that are always available.
Mohalo asks, have you explored the IRL backpack mobile rigs for expanding and improving IRL broadcasts? We currently don't do any IRL broadcasts, but we have ideas for things that would involve that kind of thing. And have you done an IRL stream before?
No, I have technically done what's it called? Periscope on Twitter. That's the most that I've done.
But yeah, so we don't have any experience with the IRL backpack stuff, but it's not, I think anything with that is a little bit beyond our scope / what we're trying to do right now in the immediate future.
Yeah, I mean, like it could be useful for things like a convention meetup for Streamersquare specifically, and having like sort of round tables, things like that. But even then, that wouldn't necessarily require an IRL backpack, just any kind of a mobile setup or a movable setup.
Yeah. So I don't know if we've missed any questions, but if you guys have anything else that you want, we still have a few minutes here. I hope we've answered the coaching a little bit more, because I know it was a little bit vague. It's a lot more in depth than just like, hey, you got 30 minutes on the clock, let's go. It's a lot more in depth than that. And we've had some questions about that. So hopefully we help clear that up.
Yeah. Well, and I think one more important point is that nobody should assume that we'll be able to solve all problems or or that will even be a great fit for you. We are not the only people who do coaching. Ashley's in the chat right now. She also provides fantastic resources and personal coaching herself. If we can't do it for you, well, we will gladly try and help you find somebody who will. We want you to succeed. If it can't be with us, we just want you to succeed no matter what. We will gladly point you to people who can possibly. Obviously, it's never going to be known until you approach it yourself and examine it on your own. But we will gladly try and point you to places where you can find what you need in order to nail what you got to nail to be successful. There's nothing more than that for what we want. Otherwise, Streamersquare wouldn't exist in the first place.
Yeah. And we don't make any false promises. We don't guarantee anything besides we believe that we can help. And I think with the free stuff that we provide, hopefully that helps demonstrate that. I mean, I offer free coaching here every single week, Tuesday at 4 p.m. Take advantage of that. Come to the stream scene. We cover awesome topics each week. Ask your questions there. There's so many resources that we have.
Yeah. And we want to build up what effectively amounts to a portfolio, right? Over time, like we clearly can't showcase the innumerable people that we've helped with one-on-one coaching since we're starting that for the first time here. What we can do, of course, is there are any number of people who've shown exceptional gratitude, various degrees of gratitude for the stuff that Loco's already been doing, the stuff that she and I collectively have been doing over the last year, with just the one show too. There are things like that we can easily point to for the value. And there is no shortage of research you can do on your own, looking at our VODs, coming into our streams, going to the website and just browsing through or searching for whatever it is that you want to see. Look at the value, quantity, quality of all the work that's already being done and see if that doesn't somehow translate to you into what you think you could get out of the personal coaching itself. I think I started with one point, lost it, and then just finished my another thought.
Testimonials.
The testimonials.
Yeah. We actually want to gather some of your guys' feedback in a central place. Hunter, you have this more fleshed out than I do. What are we doing?
Well, that was what my alarm was for.
I remember we set an alarm, but I didn't remember for what. So I was like, oh, we have to talk about something. I don't know. I don't remember.
That was what my midstream professional phone alarm was. We do want to collect what amounts. I don't like the term testimonials because people have been using that for a long time. And with like, I'm thinking of like the old school. What were they like? The charity like call-a-thons and stuff that you do like late night. There are always testimonials for the also the late night infomercials and such. And they always seem so corny, but I would love to actually see people's experiences with Streamersquare itself. Tell us what your experiences have been. We want to take that and be able to show people what you've gotten out of it. I'm going to be constructing a more formal request for this that you guys can see, because I don't think I was prepared to fully throw that out today. Throw that into the wilds today. I do think I remember the hashtag. Okay. If you have, let's see if I can get this. If you have something that you want to tweet at us that can fit in a single tweet about anything that you've gotten, any value, any gratitude that you may wish to share whatsoever for what we've done to this point through streamersquare.com, through twitch.tv/streamersquare and all the shows that we've done, what Loco and I have done specifically as part of this brand, this company. Tweet at us at Streamersquare with the hashtag thanks Streamersquare.
Wow.
I think that's the one. Thanks, Streamersquare.
Wow.
The reason for the hashtag specifically is that it makes it very searchable for us. That means that we can actually like go through and just put in that hashtag to search for all of them, and we can have them all.
I guess you could
listed
just
at once.
tag Streamersquare, but the
You
hashtag.
can tag Streamersquare that makes it. We can find it then immediately. But if we also wanted to go back and look for it, 2 months from now, we could just search for the hashtag. Thanks, Streamersquare. Hashtag thanks, Streamersquare. My words. There's a chef's kiss. It's like, and then there's the explosion of. That's my words.
Then you're spitting.
Yeah, but you're also welcome to record a brief video, because we're if you're a content creator like we are, presumably this is going to relate to help that you've gotten. You're welcome to record a video anywhere from 15 to 45 seconds if you want a short one, up to 2 minutes if you feel like you actually have more to commit to it. If we wanted to, presumably you'd be giving us. I would love it if you would express actual permission to use this stuff, so that we could showcase some of the value that people have gotten. But we'd like to be able to possibly edit these into a video. When somebody's like, "Hey, what does this do anything? Do people get stuff out of this?" We're like, "Glad you asked. Roll that beautiful bean footage." You know what I mean? And it makes it really, really easy. People can see an actual human expressing those points.
Yep. So, unless there's anything else, any closing comments, Hunter?
Oh man, I think the last hour has been closing comments from me.
Yeah.
Just so much. There's so that. I mean, takeaways are that you can get so very much out of all of the free stuff that Streamersquare does. But there is a very unique type of value and benefit to having legitimate, personable contact and connection and conversation about certain things that I don't think that you can ever get without that, by static resources, by looking at articles, by watching videos that do give you tips. Those things are always valuable, but they'll never be able to give you a thoroughly personal look and critique for blind spots that you uniquely have, for issues that don't seem to show up anywhere, that you never really see answered completely, something that is unique to you. You'll never really know what some of those questions even are before you get into some one-on-one sessions. And sometimes that's as simple as actually being in the streams that we do and just asking in the Q&As, or participating in the Q&As that we're going to be doing on Discord through Patreon at the lower tiers and stuff. But that personal element, it's not even a personal touch, that personal element to it for qualitative analysis is something that I would argue you literally cannot get anywhere outside of a one-on-one or a one-on-a-few kind of connection. Being able to communicate with another individual is the only place that you can get that. And I also think one of the great arguments for why coaching matters is that good coaches will be able to give that to you, and also have a lot of experience for, like, they've been around the block, right? We've got our thousands of hours doing this, trying to make forge success on Twitch or on YouTube or wherever else it may happen to be. Maybe podcasters out there do that as well. That value cannot be replicated anywhere else. I think that is unique, and I think there's a really good argument for why it's unique. And we provide that. That's what we're attempting to do with this, with our limited time. So there's only so much of it that we can do. But all that free stuff, it's there, and it's only going to get better because of revenue that we're able to generate through Patreon.
Yeah. So whether you're trying to get some serious one-on-one help with streaming, or you're just like, hey, I like what to do, here's $1. Give it a look over. The month begins on the 1st. So with the way that Patreon works is you get charged on the 1st and you get access for that full month. So if you sign up in the middle of the month, you will have to wait until the first for your rewards, for your benefits. So December 1st is our first month. We're excited. We are prepared, and it's gonna be awesome. I'm really excited about it. So thank you guys for being a part of it. And this is the future of Streamersquare as a whole, so it's a big deal.
This is where it starts.
This is I don't want to say it's the beginning because I've been doing this for a long time. It's been a lot
It's
of work.
late stage beginning.
It's the new beginning, I guess. I don't know.
New beginnings.
I like to call it the next level.
Mm-hmm.
The next level, and then there's gonna be another level at some point.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Get
God,
ready.
I'm so excited for that.
So thank you guys for watching. We will be putting this up on YouTube in case you missed any of it, and we'll try to get we'll put together like some kind of highlight video, I think, to try to get through the gist of it for lazy people. So yeah, that's the plan. If you guys are new here, check us out on streamersquare.com. You can find us on Twitter, YouTube, and we have a Discord where we have other streamers and artists and industry people that can help you, and tech people. So if you guys need help with streaming, come join our Discord. It's free. It's open to everybody. Use
And the very thing we were talking about today, the Patreon itself, patreon.com/streamersquare.
Oh yeah,
very easy to find.
We should probably link that up.
very easy to find. Seriously, just click on the link. Just go look at what it is that's over there. We got the video. We've got a written breakdown of how all the different stuff works. If you want to scroll down below the video, I believe it's always below the video, although on mobile it may be different. You can see all the basics of the tiers. You can look at our shorter term goals for Patreon, what will open up and become accessible as we hit certain goals with you guys. And all of that information is there. This was really meant to clarify a lot of what we're doing and try and tackle the questions that you guys had. So feel free to head on over there and just look. You don't have to, it doesn't suck money out of your bank account for clicking on the link and looking at what's offered. If something fits, something fits. And feel free to even just throw us a buck. You want to allow it to exist. That's a set it and forget it tier, man. It's the kind of stuff that we love doing. It's like, yeah, Streamersquare, it's a great thing. There's a buck. Boom.
Done and done. All right. So we will be back on Monday with the stream scene. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week, guys.
Good night.